they were willing to move on from Luka and trade Luka because they had like fear and they thought there was risk that he wouldn't take himself and his career seriously.
Not the Fertittas.
Yeah, so instead of and you can question how they handled the situation. The real issue, Bruce, is that they didn't return Luka value. Right? Everybody knows what Luka's worth.
Mm-hmm.
The Mavericks ownership group and Nico Harrison being a part of that transaction, they didn't return the value for Luka, which is really what this boils down to. They're left holding a bad end of the trade in terms of what they got back. But the concern about Luka is valid in that he was consistently overweight, consistently injured. All those concerns are valid. If the Mavericks would have got a better return, then maybe nobody's saying anything right now.
Yeah. Yes. Welcome in and welcome back to another episode of Format Podcast Live, Sunday morning edition. And we are back and we are ready to go. As you can see, this show is going to be a little shorter than the usual Sunday morning editions, but that's okay, because I expect to be back later this evening, barring anything unforeseen, to discuss the college football playoff in depth. That said, I'm here, as you can see, Bruce, your host, and we are anxiously awaiting the arrival of our main guy, SMT Media Network, aka Sneed Got What You Need. But until he gets in, I'm going to hold it down, and you know how I do. So first and foremost, you know what we got to do? We got to give a shout out to the channel members, and you know who you are. First and foremost, Coach T, a.k.a. Laker Nation, probably still recovering from that beatdown the Celtics put on the L.A. Lakers on Friday night, but that's okay. What up, Coach T? Shout out to you, man. Shout out to the Be Ready Sports Podcast. If you haven't already, whether you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, make sure you go after this and subscribe to the Be Ready Sports Podcast, because in order to be ready, you got to stay ready. It's not that serious. What's good, my brother? Great day of college football yesterday, man, and we're going to talk a little bit about it towards the end of the show. Chief Sid Bubba, you know what time it is, man. All the respect in the world for you, for the great things you've done for our country, and, of course, for what you do for this show. And you know what it is, man. Shout out to the boys from Annapolis, and I've only got 6 days remaining before we get the rematch, Army versus Navy, the greatest rivalry in college football. And we find out whether or not I've got to hear that stupid song for a whole nother year. But Transformer's not here, so I don't have to hear it today. Anyway, Chief, thank you so much for everything. Harder Harms. All right. Baltimore, Bruce, what up? Where you at, Bruce? Where are you? Yesterday, you spent a whole lot of time texting me nonsense about Notre Dame sitting home and watching while the real dogs go play. And it turns out the real dogs did go play, and they bodied your boys. Roll MF and Tide. Anyway, we'll get to that. But Baltimore, Bruce, shout out to you for the support you give the show. Steve, king of the chat, my guy, my Irish brother. What's up, Steve? Man, appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. Can't wait to hear what you got to say. I don't know if you're here right now or if you are currently doing the rosary and praying for our Irish to make the college football playoff. Nah, just joking. There's a lot more important things to pray for. So I know you're a good guy, and I know you're caring a lot more about that, what's going on in the world, than college football playoff. But if you have time at the end, throw a little something extra in there for the Irish, right? All right. Nino, what's good, my man? Appreciate you as always. You haven't been around too much lately, man. Hope to hear from you soon. Sneed got what you need. He will be here ASAP. Tending to some, family things, as he does. Sneed, the great family man. So can't wait to have him in to hear his thoughts on a lot of the things we got to discuss today. And finally, our latest channel member, Micah, All Love 0307. What up, Micah? New York, stand up. All right. Got the channel members shouted out. Appreciate all of y'all. Oh, there we go. Nino. All right. Gotta get the dough, man. It's holiday times, man. I feel you. But I'm glad to see you here, brother. Thank you so much. Also, Gene Beasley, what's good? What's good? Thank you for being here as well. All right. We are going to go ahead hit the spiel. Then we're going to come back, get into some quick hits, and we're going to get into these topics of the show. All right, let's get it. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast. We should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us a like, leave us a 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. Make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, make a note of it. The Format Podcast is live Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. And finally, if you're really and truly enjoying the content we're delivering you, make sure you hit that join button. There's going to be exclusive content here just for you. All right, let's go. Luka Doncic. As we can see, this is old Luka, Mavs Luka. But, and again, man, shout out to Man Down Mel because he definitely inspired this topic. I had no idea. So, obviously, we know last season, Luka Doncic to the Lakers, one of the biggest trades in NBA history. And as usual, the Lakers are involved, right? They have just made a franchise history of acquiring big name free agents and turning that into championships. So, anyway, no, but so
shout out to the Celtics.
I know, right? For sure. So Luka gets traded in what was a shocking blockbuster deal, and there's all these different tentacles to it. Did LeBron know? Did LeBron not know? AD was shocked. He got shipped out. Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavericks, had to fall on the sword for that. Was it solely his idea, or was it the idea of the new owners? Was it Fertitta? Who was behind all of this? Literally, the Mavs fan base, they hated Nico. They were so in love with Luka, so on and so forth. Why did this trade happen when you got a guy who's a multiple-time first-team All-NBA guy, a guy who's, as early in his career as he is, he's probably a Hall of Famer already, so on and so forth, right? So many tentacles to this thing. It was crazy. So lo and behold, we are starting to find out now Luka was the problem. And kind of a lot of this is more coming out the more we dig into this, because as we know, a few weeks ago, Nico Harrison was fired from the Mavericks, right? And it's unfortunate because if you heard the verbiage I used earlier, he fell on the sword for the organization. And a big part of this is a speculation that Luka was in line for, what was that, $275, $280 million Supermax, somewhere around that, just gigantic money Supermax deal. And the Fertittas didn't want to pay it, right? Luka wasn't their guy. He's Mark Cuban's guy. He's the previous owner's guy. They didn't want to pay that. And they hadn't seen what they believed was the necessary investment from Luka in his body, in his health, in his play. And now we're finding out there's even more to it. So he got shipped out. But again, Nico Harrison is the guy that, has to take the blame for it. So first, before I get to the sound that we have from Brendan Haywood, who was, close to the Mavs organization and spoke to people about this, what were your thoughts initially? I don't even know if I talked to you about this, Sneed, when it happened. Initially, your thoughts on the trade and kind of why you think it may have gone down and what was, the precursors to it all.
The new owners of the Dallas Mavericks spent a lot of money on the franchise, and the player that they're about to sink all this money into and secure their future as competitors within the NBA, they didn't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about really, really wealthy people who spend a lot of money on something like a transaction,
Mm-hmm.
they need to see the return on the invested capital. Luka is an asset. Luka was an asset to them that they didn't trust was going to be able to return the value that they paid for the franchise. When they bought the Mavericks, they bought Luka and the value that Luka brought to the table. They were willing to move on from Luka and trade Luka because they had fear, and they thought there was risk that he wouldn't take himself and his career seriously.
That's it, not the Fertittas.
Yeah. So instead of, and you can question how they handled the situation. The real issue, Bruce, is that they didn't return Luka value, right? Everybody knows what Luka's worth.
Mm-hmm.
The Mavericks ownership group and Nico Harrison being a part of that transaction, they didn't return the value for Luka, which is really what this boils down to. they're left holding a bad end of the trade in terms of what they got back. But the concern about Luka is valid in that he was consistently overweight, consistently injured. All those concerns are valid. If the Mavericks would have got a better return, then maybe nobody's saying anything right now. But really the only concern is that they just didn't get back what people believe they should have got back for Luka. That's why Nico is out. They had to blame somebody. Wealthy people made a bad transaction, and they need to blame someone so that way they could save face in the public. This is about saving face. Nico doesn't have a job because this whole transaction didn't return value. They just look like they got played.
No, those are all really good points. But what I love is that one of the things I always say on this show is just give it time. I'll be patient. I'll wait. Eventually, I'll be proven right. Right. And this is not in this particular topic about me being right or wrong personally. It's about sometimes you got to wait and the information will come out. It'll dribble out slowly but surely. Right. But this is one where we're finding out that it's not just that Nico Harrison made a stupid deal or that the Adelsons and the Dumonts didn't want to pay him. There's an amalgam of things that went into trading this guy, which, again, no one in their right mind would have conceived of before it happened. That's why we were all so shocked by it. When I found out, I literally had to check around and make sure that wasn't, what do you call it? Fake news, right? I really had to. Then when it really I was like, whoa.
Bruce, they said that they didn't like him.
And we're gonna get to that. Yeah.
I mean, that's your star.
And think about it, we know that in basketball, in the NBA, probably more so than the other sports, the other team sports, if you're good enough, the other stuff can fall by the wayside, right? If you're good enough, we can always deal with whatever. So think about how bad it had to be for you to be disliked for them to move on from a guy of that talent and that production.
At that age.
So let's hear from former Dallas Maverick, among others, who now does some of the games for Dallas and has contacts inside the building. Brendan Haywood, he's going to talk about this. So this was crazy when I heard it.
Didn't move Luka without a lot of people in the Dallas organization either thinking that was a good move or they wanted him moved himself. The year before that, I went and I called a game in Dallas. I've never seen an organization have a generational player that disliked him that much. So everybody I talked to, they didn't speak highly of Luka. I talked to people from the support staff to the coaching staff, the front, everybody around. It was just, and I'll never forget. I was talking to somebody. I said, "Man, y'all might have the MVP this year." And the response was one that I never thought I would get. They said, "Gosh, I hope not." I said, "What?"
Wow.
They said, "We can't get him to listen to anything we say now. He gets the MVP, no telling what he'll do." Whether it was the work ethic, whether it was showing up out of shape, whether it was how certain people were talked to, there were a lot of people in that organization that didn't agree with how he went about his day-to-day business. And so when Nico made that trade, there were a lot of people that actually liked it.
Bruce, they were clearly looking for a reason to trade Luka. They wanted they preferred that Luka could do something, play poorly, something to justify the move. They wanted to move on. They did.
Sure. Now imagine that, like we were saying earlier, a guy of that talent, a guy of that production, a guy who led your team to the NBA Finals 1 year earlier, a guy who moved that much merch, a guy who makes you that much money as an owner. You can't deal with him. He's so disliked and so toxic within the organization. You say, yo, we just can't deal with it. That's insane to think about. That really is. To think about somebody saying, people inside the building saying, yo, we hope he doesn't win an MVP because he doesn't listen now. So if he wins one, imagine what he'll do. That's crazy. And we saw examples of him not necessarily, obviously not caring about his body or not doing the right things. After they won the Western Conference Finals, he's standing there drinking a beer. And I think was it Michael Finley?
Michael Finley.
Yeah, Michael Finley had to go take the beer from him. Come on, man. Even if you're going to have a beer to celebrate later, you doing that right there just to show blatantly how you don't care? Just like that, right? Your freaking front office guy has to. So they've talked to him about it, right? That was something they talked to him about. they got to come take it from you. It's like, come on, man. And then you see the way he is on the floor, all the whining and constant complaining, right? We saw it in the finals. And meanwhile, you juxtapose it with a guy like Jaylen Brown, who we know is a different player physically, but the mentality was, if Luka's on the floor, don't take me out. I'm on the floor and I'm guarding this guy, right? Luka, we know, doesn't even pretend to it. Well, this year he's been a little more engaged defensively, but prior to this year, never even pretended to care about defense, right? His whole style of play, again, so much of his production was just because he's so supremely talented on offense. We heard Stan Van Gundy say the other day that he's the greatest offensive player that he's ever seen. That, say that poking fun at it, but yeah, he's so supremely talented on offense that he's able to get away with a lot and playing the way he plays. And so to have an organization that you're bringing so much money to and with whom you're so popular and you're making deep playoff runs and so on and so forth, and they're like, nah, get this guy out of here. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I haven't really seen much of this before.
No.
In terms of precedent. So
no,
this is uncharted waters. You got a new ownership group that literally comes and says, we're just going to move on from a star player because we don't like some of the things we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember in LA, I remember Shaq. And I see some of that here in respect to how serious a person takes their career, how serious a person takes their work ethic. The difference there is it was player civil war, right? With Shaq and Kobe questioning how hard Shaq worked, wanted to win without him, forced the hand of the ownership group, right? Powerful player. In this case, the owners, there was just things there that they didn't like, that they were willing to make a bad decision. I don't really think enough time passed to where we could honestly say they made a good effort to iron out the wrinkles with Luka. Luka's not a finished product.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely wasn't a finished product at the time of the trade. So you come in and you start disrupting and busting up your franchise, basically, because you're just didn't like it, but you probably should have worked through it. There's going to be deep regrets. They look like an incompetent franchise because right now the ownership group looks incompetent.
For sure. Or maybe they're like, yo, we're willing to take this step back because we weren't going to pay this guy to continue to wreck the franchise from the inside. There may be some value to that mindset as well. Yeah. Absolutely. That's where I was going next. You read my mind.
But that's luck, right? Like the way they got Cooper Flag had nothing to do with them making the proper moves.
Right. I don't know if it was luck. I feel like,
I mean, the broken clock is right 2 times a day, Bruce.
Oh, for sure.
What did Rasheed Wallace say? I think he said the sun shines on a dog's ass.
Yeah. Blind squirrel finds a nut. Yeah, there's a bunch of those for sure. Yeah, no. The Mavs are hoping Cooper Flag pans out, but the thing is, like, Luka walked in better than Cooper Flag. But in fairness, Luka had been playing pro ball for a number of years already. Cooper Flag is was a year out of high school. So.
Can you highlight Young Disciples' comment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had it up there before.
Young Disciple, you're right. They do look like idiots because they didn't return value for Luka. They did not get the dollar back for the dollar.
But you rarely get that in the NBA when you trade a superstar.
They weren't forced. Luka was not. He was under contract.
But maybe there's more to it also that we still don't know, and maybe it was
possible. But this lines up, Bruce.
Destructive internally to the franchise. You don't want that either. And I'm not saying
so far, this all lines up. So far.
Mm-hmm. No, agreed. Hate how they made Nico the fall guy in Dallas. Yeah, that's tough, man. But when you're the owner, you can do that to people, right? You're not going to be the fall guy.
Don't be surprised that they did this to Nico. The first person they put there at the presser was Nico, and next to Nico was Jason Kidd. They had to sell the trade to the public. They had to convince people that what they did was right for the franchise.
Right. But so at the time, yes, we know that the Lakers, we know now and we knew then they got the better end of the deal. But let's just say hypothetically, if AD wasn't Mr. Glass, like, that's not a decent deal. Like,
I mean, if they were closer in age, then it would be a lot easier to digest.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about the age piece. Yep.
I mean, if this was 2020, AD, so we're talking about AD at 27.
For sure.
You see, it's a little different.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's take a couple calls on this. 904-219-8264, 904-219-8264. I'm going to take a couple calls here. You guys' thoughts on Luka. Here's a question. Do you think that Dallas is now maybe leaking this stuff and trying to frame him as the problem to save face for getting beaten in a terrible deal? Or how much of this stuff do you think is true? I'm curious to know where you guys are on this. Or do you think it's a two things could be true type situation? Caller from Arizona. Who's this?
Yeah, the Super Dave from Raw Sports Radio.
Hey, what's going on, man? Good to have you call in, man.
What's good, fellas?
All right.
Like, what y'all got going?
Appreciate it, man.
But straight to the bag, man. If you think that the Lakers won this trade, then you really don't know. And you know, and I understand we got a lot of casual fans out there. They don't understand basketball.
Okay.
Because when you bit because first of all, I mean, the only reason that it would look like LA won this trade is because the AD can't stay healthy.
Right.
That's a factor.
That's something that they was going to face anyways with Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing that could have happened was to get him around a guy like LeBron who takes his fitness serious.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the talent on the court, the Mavericks, they didn't have a good enough defense to win a championship, and that is what wins championships. Luka just want to go back there, rest on defense, go out there and just shoot two step back.
Facts.
And get calls from the referee, and that didn't happen in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see why people are hanging on to this guy and want to romanticize this guy. And it's like I heard the other guys talk about that the Lakers made the good move when they got rid of Shaq. I mean, like everybody keeps saying Kobe, but what was all this talk when Shaq was winning MVPs in the finals?
No, I didn't say it was a good move. I was just saying to the move. I was discussing the move. I didn't say it was a good move.
That was a very, very dumb move because
I understand. The problem was they weren't able to work through it, so they moved on from Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it was a good
ended
move.
up not making the playoffs.
They ended up not winning for a long time until much later. I'm with you.
Yeah. It took Jerry West to give them guys a bone for them to get back on track because Kobe was not the answer. He fooled the Lakers fan base, but you can always fool the casual fan.
They won 2 championships.
Right.
They went to 3 finals.
Did you hear what I just said? That Jerry West had to give them Paul Gasol for Kwame Brown. Some corruption had to go on behind the scenes for that.
Yeah, but that doesn't prove that Kobe isn't the one. But continue.
Right. And
Kobe definitely isn't the one. If you look at like Kobe doesn't even get you over the top as far as the league average and what the rate at what teams are scoring. Kobe doesn't meet that. So how
they won championships though? It's hard.
You caught up in theatrics and all of this stuff. I'm talking about numbers, man.
I'm looking at outcomes. Like if
you're looking at outcomes without context.
There is context. Championship rings. So if Luka wins championships
on that roster, Paul Gasol, Lamar Odom, Andrew Bynum, all those guys shot above 50%. Kobe was the only one. He was
So it's proven that if you give Kobe enough talent, he can provide championships.
That's proven for any star. Why do you think?
No, it's not proven for any star. There have been players who have been given a lot of talent and support, and they haven't won. So it's not proven.
No, that's not true. That's not because if you go back and look at those rosters, Kobe shot them guys out of championship. Like first of all, Kobe, what happened? What do you say in 2008 when he faced the Celtics? It's a good thing that Kevin Garnett got hurt in 2009. And then if you look at 2010 and the way that the referee cheated them back into the series, and
I would say in 2008 I would say in 2008 they were very close but didn't win. Right, the Celtics were better that year, and then the following 2 years, the Lakers were the best team.
8 for 24, just like his jersey and retirement numbers.
Oh,
or 6 for 24.
He's thinking about that Game 7 in 2010.
Okay, so nobody's saying Kobe's perfect. We're just saying that when he was asked to produce championships when he had enough talent, he did. So
correct.
This is not just one instant. If you go back and look at his numbers and close out games, it's constant. Where is the clutch gene? I think you guys are caught up on the regular season highlights.
Okay, well, look,
I was just talking about championship outcomes. Why are you talking about regular season?
All right, hold on, my man. Super Dave, this is one. I appreciate your call and I appreciate your passion. But two, let's take it back to the Luka topic where we were, because this Kobe thing could go into a whole different thing.
But we got to keep it casual for the fans, because when you really break this stuff down, a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. Like Luka, like the Mavericks. How did they lose the trade when you got Anthony Davis? When you got Anthony Davis, a two-way player. So many people are blinded by the offense. Like basketball is played on both ends of the court.
Oh, believe me, we understand
Davis,
that. This show understands that.
And you get Cooper Flag along with that, and you got Christian.
Dave, are you attributing the trade to somehow that's why they got Cooper Flag?
I said, and you ended up with Cooper Flag.
Right, but it's not because of the trade though, right?
You ended up getting Cooper Flag from the Lakers pick, right?
Okay, so if
from the Lakers, right?
The injury risks are legitimate, right? Like Anthony Davis, if he's not playing, the Mavericks aren't very good.
You brought it up. You brought up Cooper Flag, and then you.
No, I let you make your point, bro. I'm not discrediting you.
You asked me a question about Cooper Flag. Where did they get Cooper Flag?
Cooper Flag, I would say, was good fortune.
No, I'm saying they got it from the Lakers, right? And where they got Cooper Flag from, right?
I'm not sure where they got the pick from. If you're telling me they got it from the Lakers, then we got it cleared up. We're good. Now, when
you got to add that into the equation when you're thinking about who won the trade.
Okay, so if Cooper Flag ends up winning them a championship, then we'll say that the Mavericks won the trade, right?
You basing on championship, but yeah, they want consistency, and they talking about the long haul.
Okay, which is valid, and Anthony Davis checks those boxes too, so it's warranted from that respect. But if it's Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic, and Anthony Davis isn't playing because he's injured, but Luka has found a way to all of a sudden become more reliable and more available, well, then you would say that the Lakers are winning for now. They've done better on their end of the trade.
That's also the thing. When we look at trades, you always gotta wait a couple years to. Really
I am caught up in the moment. I'm saying down the line it could be different, but as of right now,
yes, sir. I hear you, sir. You said you gotta wait going down the line, right? But that's the story franchise Lakers who could add on more pieces, and then we're gonna judge it based on that.
Well, there's a lot of no. There's a lot of factors that go into
parts right there.
Yeah, it is. But those are those are the parts that come about as a result of a trade. Hold on there, Super Dave. Let me shout out this super chat. Logan Misiak 5573 with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. He says the trade was clearly an NBA business decision. Maybe so.
Definitely were.
Yeah, I appreciate that super chat though. Thank you so much for your support. Like and subscribe. Yes, Super Dave, go ahead, line your plane, man.
To y'all call line, but I I'll call in more. I'm gonna make sure I try to screenshot y'all info.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks so much. Like and subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you know when we're going live.
We'll do. I like the casual fans out there.
All right, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Bro, Dave's points are good. There's nothing wrong with what he's saying.
Yeah.
But, when we look at things, you make decisions short-term, mid-term, long-term.
Mm-hmm.
We won't know the long-term until all these parts of the trade are done.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the Lakers never win a championship with Luka, we could say it was a bad trade for the Lakers in that respect.
Yeah.
If the Mavericks end up winning one with Cooper Flag, if they win one with Anthony Davis, like that changes the whole context. But right now, when we're looking at it, Anthony Davis is just now kind of starting to play. Like we didn't see him immediately after the trade. We didn't see him to start this year. That leaves the Mavericks looking bad. We can't, look past that in the short term.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.